Okay, folks, Andrew Bopros here. And yes, this is the fifth time I have recorded this video. Didn't have the right mic set up. That's my fault. Either way, this is my commitment to you folks, right? I'm doing this video for you guys today, talking about the Chargers versus Saints matchup. There's a lot to break down, guys. I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. A lot of people are still picking the Chargers to win. I think there's, ESPN, I think we're up by 2.5 points right now on the spread line. There's a lot to discuss about this. But again, we were supposed to beat the Cardinals, and we didn't, which is really frustrating. But lots to break down, so let's get into it.
Bull Bros!
Okay, folks, as always, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. I'm Andrew Bull Bros. And leave a comment down below. Just a little thought, a little tidbit. It helps the algorithm. So we are going to talk more about this as well, too. And we all know that Joe Ortiz is cooking. He's cooking behind the scenes, right? The discussion is Mike Williams is coming over potentially, and there are some other ones, Deontay Johnson. There's a few also on the Giants, maybe even a few. I think Wilson from the Cardinals, but it's probably not going to happen because they beat the Chargers. I think if that game had not gone their direction, I think we probably would be having a pretty serious conversation about getting Wilson from the Cardinals. So there's a lot of moving parts on who's going to be available, which teams think that they can make a playoff run moving forward. So we'll see what happens here, before November 5th, which is going to be kind of a wild time. I mean, even for the election. But let's talk a little bit about, where we sit as far as our injury report. So it looks like we got Joey Bosa back, which is a plus. Chark should be back, which is a plus. We should have been back last week. See what happens. Still, the Friday report has not come out yet by the time I'm filming this video. Unfortunately, Darius Davis is out. Disley most likely will be out. Christian Fulton, nice to see him. I guess he was coming in and out last week. A little hard for us to see it when we were on the sidelines the way we were. But Hayden Hurst looks like he is going to be back, which is a good thing. Boy, that's a really bad plus right there. That's a plus. Got to work on my penmanship, guys. But negative, like Quentin Johnson's out. Ladd McConkey's out. Two wide receivers, folks. Not good. Khalil Mack is going to be fine. It's going to be good. We'll talk more about pressure rates and things like that here in a second. Denzel Perriman is a negative. Unfortunately, let me just get rid of this one right here. Boy, this is really not looking great, guys. My crayon skills today are not great. But Jasir Taylor should be back. He was playing last week. He did very well from what I could tell. So we got a few people out, guys, this week. And it's going to be really interesting, right? And the wide receiver room might look pretty strange. I posted something this week that the wide receiver room might be Josh Palmer, Jalen Reagor, Brendan Rice as our number 3, Simi Fehoko, Dez Fitzpatrick. Eesh. Wow. All right. So we'll see how, see what Herbert can do with that. But, let's get this guy some weapons, right? Again, that's what Joe Ortiz, I'm sure, is working on right now. But depending on if teams wins or lose, they're going to sit back and say, well, we need him. We got a playoff run. We're doing all right. So we'll see where we go from there. But let's talk about the Saints really quickly, where they stand, who's out for them. Does look like Derek Carr is going to be gone. He's most likely not going to play. He's listed as doubtful from what I can see so far this week. So that means that we most likely are going to be getting a dose of Spencer Rattler. Now, Rattler has looked good. He's a rookie, guys, as we all know. This guy was one of the number 1 recruits in the nation in college for quite some time. Moved up. I think it was like a 4th or 5th round pick. And so he's now being thrust into the limelight. He's looked okay. Not great, but okay. And so there's a lot to be said about him and pressuring him very well. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But he's a guy that can be beat, right? And the offense is better when, Derek Carr is out there, as we all know. But they are getting one piece of the puzzle back, and it's Chris Olave. Chris Olave is an absolute stud. I wanted us to pick him up in the draft. Obviously, Brendan Staley and Tom Telesco did not go get him. Still annoyed by that, but I really wanted Olave, but he will be available for this game. So he's going to help the rookie out, and you got to put somebody on Olave. He is that good, right? As we all know. So I think that's some interesting discussion points with those 3 players, right? So, but again, Rattler, Olave should be available. We'll go from there. But Justin Herbert brought up an interesting point in his press conference. I think it was either on Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember exactly what day it was. He said that the offense is still seeking an offensive identity. Do you agree or disagree with that thought? We're going to talk more about it tomorrow on our live at noon Mountain Time and 1 Pacific. I think he's exactly right. I just still think that we're trying to figure out how to be an offense unit in the NFL. And I'll tell you right now, Joe Alt has been absolutely incredible, right? He's only given up 2 sacks, only a few pressures. And Rashawn Slater, we know how good he is, but up the middle, the pressure has been pretty tight, right? So Pipkins, Bozeman, and Zion Johnson, they're struggling. So the pressure most likely has been coming up the middle. And that affects our running game a lot because we are trying to run the ball up the middle, A gap, B gap, typically. And if there's pressure there, they just pick the gap correctly and we can't go anywhere. So, we need to switch things up. I'm going to talk a little more about that in a second, but I'm very curious to see how that plays out. As we discussed, went the wrong way. As we discussed, the guy that we have here, Will Dissly, is most likely going to be not playing, unfortunately, right? Which is a huge bummer because Dissly had a great game. And unfortunately, he got some sort of shoulder injury, probably landed on it weird or who knows, right? But he's not practicing. We should get Hayden Hurst back. We'll be taking over that role. But Dissly had a whale of a game. I think he had like almost 100 yards passing, and he looked great out there, right? So, again, we're losing all these offensive weapons for Herbert, right? And look, teams know they can stop the run, then the pass, there's nobody on the offensive side of the ball that they're worried about, right? We don't have a Justin Jefferson. We don't have a Malik Willis. We don't have anybody, Malik Willis, a number one wide receiver that's going to stretch the field right now. Again, potentially if we get DJ Chark back, maybe Jalen Reagor. Clearly, Jalen Reagor had that one play downfield that was 45 yards. Don't even get me started on that one. But at the end of the day, that was a big play. And stretching the field has a lot of value because it opens up the box. Now, the problem is here, Justin Herbert, I noticed this last week at the game, he did not have the brace on. So that was off. And now he just has heavy tape. Where I think this is good and bad for us is obviously he's getting healthier, but secondarily, it allows Herbert and really Greg Roman to open up the playbook to some degree because a big part of the playbook that they had with the Ravens was RPOs. And as you know, it's repass option. If they're not expecting Justin Herbert to run the ball, if you do an RPO, they're like, all right, Justin's not going to run the ball. He's not going to tuck it and run. They're not respecting that. If he can come out and run the RPO and do some nice gash runs, they're going to respect the RPO moving forward. So hopefully that does have some value. He tapes it up and he starts doing that, just making the defense honest, right? That should lighten up the boxes. The running game should start. They have been stacking the box, 7-man, 8-man, sometimes creeping a 9-man up into the box. So if you can start doing that and beating people downfield with the Jalen Reagor, DJ Chark, just some deep balls just to keep them honest, keep the safeties back, that opens up a lot more running lanes and it keeps things a little bit more even for the running game and more of a balanced attack, guys. And so, again, one affects the other affects the other too. So it's a big part of it, right? And right now, if Herbert's ankle is good, they might do some design quarterback runs just to get that defense to just think about it a little bit moving forward. So I can see something like that happening. Maybe even the first 15, right? Seeing Justin Herbert run a little bit and go from there. So anyhow, we'll see how that plays out. Enough of that. But let's talk about the offense really quickly, guys. The offense, currently, we are 26th in the league, guys. That's not great, right? And again, kicking 5 field goals, it doesn't really help you right now. But right now, the Saints definitely are beating us on that. Passing offense, it's pretty much 6s. Rushing offense, pretty much 6s. Total offense, pretty much 6s. Third down conversions, pretty much 6s, which is really interesting. So red zone scoring, this is where we struggle, guys. This is the glaring problem. And again, they definitely beat us here in the red zone scoring, right? So when they get to the red zone, they're scoring touchdowns. We're third in the league. There's 32 teams. That's not good, guys. And so we need to figure out how to get that ball in the end zone. But, that's the argument where we don't have a number one wide receiver. We don't have somebody that can really stretch the field. I mean, if we had Mike Williams, that would make a big difference. Mike is that good. He is that good, guys. We all know that, right? Again, stay healthy, right? That's a big part of the conversation. But sacks allowed, we're right about the same. Turnovers, we're much better on that as well, too. But so I would definitely give the check mark to the Saints for this, the offensive side of the ball. Again, we got a lot of players out right now, so it's going to be a little tough. But we are getting Joey Bosa back. So I realize that he is the multi-million-dollar man that's never on the field. And I know people are very upset and angry about him. And I mean, we understand, right? But the reality is this, folks. When Joey Bosa is healthy, he is an absolute dominant force. We can get him out on the field, especially against a rookie. He could do really well. So I'm really hoping he comes back and gives us that nice, pass rush that we've been needing, right? Because our pressure rate's actually pretty low. We have not pressured as much as I thought we have been, but we're doing a good job taking away the ball. But our pressure rates need to be a little bit higher, right? So I think there's definitely some things we can do differently to switch that up. So let's talk about the defense briefly, and this is really where the Chargers shine. Points allowed, we are killing it. Obviously, they're struggling. Passing defense, killing it. They're struggling. Rushing defense, killing it. They're struggling. Total defense, killing it. They're struggling. I mean, that's worst in the league. The worst. Third down conversions, pretty much a push. Red zone defense, not too bad. Pretty much a push. Sacks, pretty much a push. Takeaways, 13th and 4th, right? So interesting to see. They have quite a few takeaways. I think that's really a big part of what happened at the beginning of the season. I think we're pretty much around the same. Again, there were a lot of fumbles, things that we could have done differently that are moving forward. But let's talk about a bright star, right? And Cameron Dicker from last week. Let's not diminish what he did. That 59-yard field goal, absolutely incredible. And then obviously kicking 5 field goals in a game. But the reality is this, folks, in the NFL, you need to get a touchdown. You need a touchdown. You need a touchdown. You need a touchdown. And a lot of things were done, like the officiating. Again, we don't want to talk about it, but it's not great. I think there were some calls that went their way that were just absolutely ridiculous. And secondarily, we made our own mistakes, right? Jalen Reagor fumbling into the end zone. That was huge. That could have been a touchdown for us right there, or even another field goal, worst case scenario. There's a lot of things that could have been different in that game. But again, I don't want to diminish what this young man has done. Cameron Dicker has been absolutely incredible for us, guys, as you know. So a lot to discuss, guys, but I do think that this is going to be an interesting matchup. Again, the Chargers are definitely heavily favored to win. I think Vegas has a 2.5, maybe 3 points at this point. But look, the reality is this, right? It's a copycat league. Arizona shut down a run game. I guarantee they're going to do the same. They're just going to stack the box again, shut the run game down. All right, Justin, beat us with these crappy, wide receivers that you guys have, and that's the NFL, folks, right? Where's the advantage? And they're going to exploit it. So a lot to be said about that moving forward. So I'm just hoping one of these wide receivers steps up. We can stretch the field. We need AJ back. We need some of these guys back. And it would be so nice if we had Ladd McConkey as well, but we shall see. Okay, folks, Andrew, Bolt Bros. See you guys tomorrow on our live. Please check us out. Should be a lot of fun.
Hey, what's up? Cameron Dick here watching Bolt Bros podcast.